Personalisation. Let's welcome our speakers to join this session. So here we have Karthik, the head of data public sector from Amazon Web Services. He's an avid runner and has participated in 6 global marathon events. Wow. Andy, the head of engagement solutions, group marketing technology from Electrolux. If he did not study computer science, he would be a full-time barista and a part-time clinical psychologist. Joining them, I also have Michelle, the marketing manager APAC from SB Telecom Singapore. She has started an online mobile nail salon business out of passion, and it turned into a business. Impressive speakers. We are going to kick off, and I can see that Shanu is trying to join. I will see if he managed to join later. All right, so I'm going to push a poll question to the audience, and then at the same time, I'd like to have a round of introductions from our speakers. Karthik, would you like to go first?
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for your time, and it's a pleasure to be here. And speaking with the esteemed leaders from the other parts of the world. So my role in Amazon Web Services, I deal with customers across the region in Asia Pacific and Japan, helping them solve the problems. As a data analytics leader, I work with a number of different challenges from personalizations, specifically becoming a key point of discussions these days. So happy to kind of be here and talk to you all about and share some insights.
Welcome, Karthik. And Michelle?
Hi, I'm Michelle from SB Telecom Singapore, and we are part of SoftBank Group, headquartered in Japan. So in my line of work, I work a lot with retail enterprises, where we help them with their digital transformation, looking specifically into how we can collect data, how we can ensure data accuracy, and how we can then leverage this large volume of data to align with their marketing objectives.
Welcome, Michelle. And Andy?
Hi, everyone. Great to have you all here. I'm Andy Chang. I'm with Electrolux Group. So we're a consumer appliances company. I'm currently based in Thailand. I'm in charge of the group scope. So we are working together with our 4 different regions: North America, Latin America, and Europe, and Asia, obviously. And we're trying to be closer to our consumers in our journey. So I'm very happy to be speaking about personalization with you today.
Welcome,
Thank
Andy.
you very much.
I can see that our audience members are voting. Thank you for joining this session. And I'd like to see our speakers' input on this, actually. So, Michelle, what's your take on this? What interests you the most about data-driven personalization? What would you choose?
I think ensuring data accuracy and how we can use these data into business goals. I think that is what interests me a lot.
Okay, and for Andy, which one would you go for? So we have option A, overcoming challenges in implementation. B, predictive analytics and machine learning. We have C, improving customer relationships. And D, practical tips for effective personalization. Andy, what would you go for?
I think overcoming challenges, obviously. We can always talk about good things and great things. But we have to first, we have to dare to talk about the reality first. Then we can enjoy later.
Karthik, what about you?
I would say improving customer relationship because we're all working towards a specific outcome. And I'm kind of keen to always see the impact it produces to the end customer, no matter what size of the business it is. And customers are the one who are most important for the business. I'm kind of very interested in driving that relationship with customer.
Brilliant. Let's see. I'm going to reveal the poll result now. So this is what we collected from our audience members. The last three, they're pretty even actually. So the number one is actually predictive analytics and machine learning as top one. And we actually have a session on this later on in the day as well. Okay, we're going to kick off our session now with our panelists. So the first question I'd like to ask you is, how is data being collected and leveraged in your organization or your industry? I'm going to prompt this question first to Andy.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you know, if we look at, 2 years ago in my organization, the usage of the data is really very much around, sort of dependent on the organization structure itself. So we have been very decentralized. So you can kind of guess where we're coming from with this, right? So the data, the way we design and architect the entire scope of data is very, very decentralized. And of course, we have come a long way. We have that's why I was very much into the reality, because we have also overcome a lot of challenges. We're still facing a lot of challenges, by the way. But if we look at the current day, right, what do we collect? We collect first-party data, obviously, through mainly through our brand websites, e-commerce, and then engagement analytics type of data, and purchase interactions data through the CRMs and so on. We can come a little bit more into detail later part of the discussions. Then we also have third-party data, so we mainly purchase from our partners when it comes to third-party data, so that we understand where we are as a company, where do we stand against our competitors and so on, and how do we leverage? We leverage because we're a consumer appliances company, we leverage this data to mainly improve our products and services, and as well as last but not least, the consumer experience improvements throughout all the channels that we have. Yeah, and that is to help to drive sales and drive consumer loyalty. In the marketing terms, we take care of the full funnel.
Thank you, Andy. Michelle, what about yourself?
So myself, because I work a lot with retail industries. So for retail, we have to collect data from all different sources. It could be online or offline. So online, you obviously have your brand website. You also have your CRM. You also but offline, we also have to deal with like your warehouse inventory. We also have to deal with your post system and how we integrate all of these data points into a single dashboard, and making sure that all of these data that we have collected, it's first, no duplicate data, and that the data are accurate and comply to the specific country governance. Are all challenges that we face. So I think customers these days have also become very sophisticated. If you keep pushing ads to them, you will not get any kind of brand loyalty. You may in fact scare them away. So we also need to know how we can use this data and create a more personalized shopping journey for them.
Thank you, Michelle. Kathik?
Yeah, so as everyone knows, Amazon being a retail organizations helping in the online sales, organization collects data from different angles, from external, internal, looking at customer usage, looking at what the needs are. So the different types of data being collected on a daily basis, in fact, on a every secondly basis. And all of this data has been brought together and leveraged to ensure that customers are able to give and get that undifferentiated experience in their shopping journey. We have a number of partners who sell products on Amazon.com. We have a number of partners who are procuring products. We have a number of customers who are leveraging and taking advantage of this at the best price. for the goods they need. And it's important that we give them that ease of accessibility with the right product they're looking for and the right price they're looking for, and also helping them with the delivery of goods in time with the fastest possible manner. So there's a number of data points being collected, looking at their location, looking at their needs, helping them choose the right product at the best price. And all of this combined together gives customer that undifferentiated experience that they experience today at Amazon.com. And we also have a number of, as part of Amazon Web Services, I work with a number of customers across the regions, and they're all striving and thriving to look and provide that seamless omni-channel customer experience, and with the personalized shopping ability across their portfolios, and data is becoming a key part of it.
Yes, absolutely. I think I'd like to learn also more from yourselves as well, as you're all coming from sort of different industries and background. Some of the common challenges encountered by companies when integrating data-driven customer experience initiatives into their marketing strategies, and kind of what your examples or interesting cases that you have experienced before. Michelle, may I prompt you first?
Sure. So one of the common conversations that I have is obviously convincing the C-suite to adopt the transformation first. And on top of that, we also have to convince the staff to, adopt transformation, because sometimes people are human beings are very habitual creatures. So when we feel that we are doing the same thing day in, day out, we feel like we are already very productive, very efficient. If nothing is spoiled, we do not want to recreate a new solution to, fix stuff. Also, with a lot of AI and new tools coming out, sometimes people on the ground do feel insecure because they do not know if AI is coming over to overtake their workload. So I think convincing both the C-suite and the employees, and how we can then integrate these digital transformation strategies into the organization to make things more efficient, and also create a happier working environment. And lastly, the most important part is how these digital transformation projects can align with the business objectives. And that is, of course, the most important thing that we have to achieve. So these are my common challenges.
Thank you, Michelle. Kathy, for yourself?
Yeah, I see two spectrum of challenges within our customers when I talk to them across the region. Firstly, they don't know where to get started. They have a big vision, but they often get lost on how the mechanisms are going to work and how to get started. So they may say that I want to uplift the customer experience for our organization, we want to maximize the profitability, or we wanted to be able to deliver these things in certain time. But they get lost on the mechanism of what use case to start, and looking at their existing legacy systems and looking at their current organization structures, they don't know where to get started. The second spectrum of customers that I work with in organizations, they have a challenge in execution ideas. So they may get started, but they often are faced with challenges either in technically or people or process perspective. Either they're not skilled up or they didn't have the right type of leadership in maintaining that continuity. So within these two spectrums, customers tend to fit in either of those. And integrating that data aspect of it in delivering that customer experience becomes a very, very challenging aspect. The The answer to that is, there are some prescriptive mechanisms that organizations can use. And, things back to the old school mechanism of, people, process, technology. We tend to also add mindset to that. The mindset involves starting something small, something that you can touch and leverage on, but more importantly, something that can be scaled. So the leadership, your team, your technologist, everyone needs to pick a specific use case that will deliver to the bigger vision or think big goals, and something that can be measured. And once that is completed, often organizations stop, right? But we need to take it further to be able to scale it. You're doing maybe one of 100 use cases that is aligned to your bigger goal. But you think big aspect of technology and the process-wise to execute on other 99 use cases that is in the backlog. So while you're doing the first use case, you take the learnings from that and slowly start building capability. It's very hard to build the capability from day one, and we strongly recommend that start something small and then build incrementally. But it's important to keep that momentum, and that momentum will only come from that mindset aspect of it, not just the people and process and technology. And that mindset is a very important aspect that often gets overlooked by the leadership.
Absolutely, that's so true. And Andy, what's your take on this?
Yeah, my take on this is that both Michelle and Karthik have already mentioned everything I wanted to say. So, no, obviously these are very relevant topics that the team has mentioned. So apologies if I may sound like I'm repeating here. But yeah, I mean, I will come from this from the perspective of consumer facing, consumer-driven experience, data challenges. Yeah, consumer data landscape, oftentimes I see, is never been architected in the way that it should, and mainly because we are very much in the organizations, running things in silos, right? And that represents sort of like the way the teams are structured. So data architect designs are more or less like mimicking that, right? And you can see that, right? But then I'm sure I'm speaking to your mind here right now, because from your experience as well, you could do so much that you have so much limitation if you are looking data in silos, right? So that's the biggest challenge. And the other type of challenge is the buy-in from the top management. Now, I think we oftentimes treat data initiatives as in like a separate investment. Yeah, and that's why, and again, yes, maybe financially in the organization, it's how it works. But then what would have been a very interesting way to look at is, okay, data has always been part of the organization's commitment or big bets. How can we relate to that? And I think that's how we should be looking at when it comes to investing in data, right? And then, of course, we, obviously, because we have it in very much in the silo approach, the kind of consequences I often see that organizations run into is the poor data accessibility, right? Because we are very reliant on humans and, relationship within organizations. So the team A knows team B very well so that they can share data, and the team C, they don't share data at all. And, it boils down to that, right, in reality. And who suffer? Who suffer? Your organization suffer at the end of the day. So that's something not to overlook it. And I'm speaking to the management of the organization in this case, because you guys are very much responsible to avoid this kind of challenges, right? And then, of course, scalability issues. And obviously, because, you're so fragmented that you build a solution and you can't reuse it in other places in your organization, right? Last but not least is the hidden cost. And, don't overlook the hidden cost, because, obviously your finance team may not be able to know how to calculate it, how to surface this. But when you're dealing with data, there's a lot of manual work being involved. There's a lot of repeated job involved. So there's a big hidden cost for organization if we don't fix it. Yeah. So that's yeah, just to in a nutshell highlight a few challenges that organization I kept seeing again and again.
Thank you so much, speakers. This reminds me one of the top 3 reasons for our attendees coming to our in-person event, what they love, is that they come to the event and share their challenges, and everyone's like, we are not alone. So I'm hoping our live audience today will feel the same. You're not alone. So the next question as well, after talking about so many challenges, we are going to talk about tips. So speakers, please share some tips on how to effectively address your obstacles. We love tips. I'm going to prompt this first to Michelle.
I think do not be afraid to experiment and try, and then start very small. And once when you kind of understand what are the basic challenges, you can then expand this, and then like what Katit has mentioned, making it scalable and repeat the process to improve the processes. Because when you never start and then you just keep thinking about this is what you're going to do, this is what is going to happen, this is how it's going to fail, then things will never move. So have fun and try to do something. If you have an idea, just execute it.
Absolutely. And we were talking about in our chat before, talking about the to have a robust data governance structure as well by using some of the integration tools. I thought that was quite a brilliant point as well. All right, Kathik, may I have your input?
Sure. When I talk to a number of our customers with Amazon Web Services, I often get told by every organization that our organization is different, right? The way we operate is different. And my answer tends to be, it's different in a mechanism of how the culture is being built. But if you look at the objectives, and if you look at the intent of running any enterprise, everyone wants to serve their customer better in a cost-effective manner. Everyone wants to start looking at innovations and drive growth. And the obstacles they often get countered is by themselves in terms of their aptitude to get started. If they get stuck with any obstacles, whether it's technical or people skills, there are answers to it. And there are mechanisms to have a look at it. So anytime if they say they've got a technology problem, if they've got a regulatory problem, if got the skills problem, there are different mechanisms that can be addressed. Always look at the industry and organizations as an inspiring thing, and it's important to incorporate that thinking of having the growth and also having to look at the peers. And I would say that if in the current day and age, the cost of not doing something is much higher than cost of doing it wrong. So always take that risk and don't be afraid to fail. But when you fail, the new motto is not to fail fast. The new motive should be how you can succeed faster. Because failing fast means you keep on failing, but also you need to learn from that failure and also need to succeed.
Thank you, Kathik. And I love our audience reactions there. So a reminder, you can react when you really like a speaker's point at the bottom of your screen. Andy, what's your take on this?
Yeah, right. So I like this because now we're talking, right? I mean, just a question ago, we talked about the kind of challenges the organization oftentimes sees or face. I think in most organizations, I see again and again is we fail to continue in investing in data initiatives long term. And why is that? Because you probably can relate because you have a data project that was last year and now it's all totally different goal, and it's not continuous. So and then the next year you're going to have the same effect, right? So your investments are more on a yearly basis, and you keep changing you keep changing the theme. It never works that way. How do we make sure that our investments are actually topping up and consistently on top of one another, right? And that way you make progress. And that, to be honest, a couple of points I want to mention here, and that is how to overcome that. I mean, first and foremost, like Michelle mentioned, we have to we have to pay more attention than we thought we have to when it comes to getting the buy-in from the top management. Now, obviously, it's not just the top management. It also means that you have to have the buy-in from your working teams next to you. Is your finance team supportive of you? Is your sales team supportive of you, marketers? Is your IT team supportive of your initiative? They have the buy-in, and it's not just bottom up or top down, right? So multiple angles is so much important. Now you're going to have a lot of projects that wasn't successful in the past. Now you have to go back and really, in simple terms, be able to explain why they weren't successful before, and be very open about it when you're explaining to your peers and your top management and so on, right? And then how do you want to make things differently this time? And that's super important. Now, the culture aspect is also very much important, because when let's say you got an approval to kick off your project and to be invested in your data initiative, that's not the end of it. That actually is the start of it only. What you do is you continue to evangelize and market your initiative and reminding people that it's relevant and what it brings on the table for other teams. And I think oftentimes we fail to do that. We got the investment, we're happy, we don't care about the rest of the organization. That's the flavor, the best flavor for failure, because data projects should be run isolatedly. They're always a part of something. They're a part of your bigger goal, in the organization. So, and the second last one is really about talent. It's okay to rely on external experts, and it's okay that you don't have that expertise within your organization. This is not a moment to panic, but that's the reality. If you have to bring in the right talent at the right time, at the right amount, to grow together, right, in this sense. So talent is not to be forgotten. The last but not least, you've got to leverage what's in it already there in your organization. Part of that is because what I mentioned here, in our story, right, in Electrolux, we leverage e-commerce as our, strongest point. So basically, we're very committed to improve our e-commerce experience within the organization. So in this case, from the data point of view, how can we improve and elevate that e-commerce journey that we have using data, right? And that's how we kind of have to find the leverage. It's never been an isolated, and it should be an isolated initiative when it comes to personalization and data. Hopefully that gives you some good picture of it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that was really structured as well, and that brought up a couple questions, really good questions from the audience members. We're going to jump in for one of them. So from Michelle is asking, Michelle from the audience is asking, interested to know if any panelist has faced challenges integrating offline and online customer data, and how did you address it? Karthik, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, I can take that. Yes, definitely there are challenges when integration of the data comes along. The way we look at it is we are looking at this modern data architecture platform solutions where we bring in the data when the real-time experience needs to be given. You process only the real-time data, because if your offline data is going to come, you're going to hold that value chain of real-time flow for that offline data to be done. So when the integration of offline and real-time needs to be happen, we often find the use cases where it needs to be done after the event, or need to be done more personalization for the next time of interaction with their customers. In those cases, there are often challenges with data formats, there are challenges with data quality, the data governance aspect. The way to address that is first to acquire the data and build some automations along it. And you can fairly quickly use the techniques of AI and machine learning capabilities these days to identify any anomalies in the data and take some events and actions, corrective actions as the data comes in. And that actually improves the data quality as the new data starts to come in.
Thank you, Karthik. Any add-ons, Andy or Michelle?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's going to be like repeating what Karthik just mentioned here. You know, in my organization's particular case, we have a luxury to use technologies like Consumer Data Platform (CDP), where it has already a built-in mechanism to stitch data in, for example, right? And we got to rely on these technology capabilities in this kind of situation to combine offline and online data. But of course, I mean, to combine an offline and online data, the question is not about how do we combine. The question is about, you know, do we have sufficient data? Are we collecting the data that matters for your use cases? And I think we have to go back and look at that first as well, right? And oftentimes, at the stage of collecting data is already something that needs some improvements. And that's what I find it again and again. And I'm speaking on the scale of, global companies, right? So we're not talking about a single country company. We're talking about multiple countries, multiple regions involved. So simple things become very, very, very complex in this case. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we have to see end to end really in this case, but the key considerations are to rely on technology capabilities to help you do that.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. And also a question just came in from Rebecca as well. What would be the metrics for you to measure customer relationship with brands? And Michelle, would you have any input on this? Any thoughts?
I think one of the basic things that we normally do is how do we extend customer lifetime value, which is customer loyalty, and how do we also get customers to interact with us on important occasions, because these days consumers have so many options. They may buy from you today and they will forget about you tomorrow. So it is very important that we have sufficient touch points with the consumers and yet not irritate them at the same time.
Thank you, Michelle. Any add-ons, Karthik?
Yeah, see, we do, if I look at Amazon World, we have multiple brands that sell their products and services across Amazon.com. The way each of these, we give the self-service capability to each of these brand owners, different metrics on how their individual products are getting sold, how much is the metrics of volume, how often the customers are interacting with their product, but also churning out, so not buying. And they find reasons what else the customers have bought in the similar category. So they kind of make decisions on whether it's pricing, whether it is reviews on the product. So that makes a big difference when we see the voice of customer is being reviewed. Whenever, I'm sure when you go and look at an Amazon, you're not only looking at the best price, but also looking at what other customers are saying about it. So that is a big aspect of it in the current day and age. It's the customer's voice that sells your product. So it's important to ensure and capture that and build that relationship in the community.
I absolutely love checking Amazon reviews.
And so
Andy?
maybe just to add on that as well. There's maybe like two aspects, like based on my experience, what I've seen before and it works is two aspects to this, right? How do what metric, right? I mean, by the way, I want to mention that this is not the not the only ones that are available out there. So this is not only limited, but hopefully this can help you to understand potentially this could be one of the many ways as well to measure. So yeah, like Michelle mentioned, it's consumer lifetime value. So I'm not going to repeat that, and that is very much around this first-party data, right? So if you have your first-party data, the way to measure that ultimately is the CLV. Now, of course, one thing I want to mention is very important here is that be very clear though that your organization has only one way to measure the CLV. Because when you have multiple ways and multiple teams doing it differently or slightly differently, then you're going to run into many challenges as well, and that's the best way to for a mess. Yeah. Then if you have a third-party data, or you're working with your partners on a third-party data, one of the things that you can, one of the metrics is that you can actually look into is like a top of mind and brand health, for example, right? And top 3 consideration, for example, like if your brand is considered at the top 3 among your competitors, for example, yeah, and that's also one way to look at it. So yeah, 2 ways. So first-party data, CLV, and third-party data, top 3 consideration or top of mind.
Thank you so much. Here we have a question from Kate as well. Let me push it to the slides area. So what tools do you use to track customer or buyer journey? I think here either it's something that you're using in your organization, but it can also be something our speakers can share, something, maybe a tool that you're watching out at the moment, you're checking, you're kind of having a closer look, anything that you can share with us. Michelle?
So for us, we leverage very much on software called Customer Data Platform. So mainly this will have all the different data into a single dashboard. So the first thing that we eliminate is data silos. So we want to have like the sales team talking to marketing team also talking to C-suite also understanding customer service team. So when you have all of this across different regions, it makes it very easy for the C-suite to decide what is the next step going forward. And with very clear business objectives, then we are able to break down large business objective into specific business goals. And this makes communication a lot more easier. And such goals are driven from the data. So everything becomes more realistic when we remove data silos across organization. And of course, currently we are also looking at the new AI tools to help improve work efficiency. It could be simple things like improving product images so that we can reduce the cost of acquisition for each customer. So different things are happening every day. So we are always constantly looking out for new tools.
Kathik, any input here?
Yeah, I would say that there is no silver bullet tool that can solve all the problems and the customer journey and the buyer's journey. It is very much dependent on what the customer would look like or the organization readiness would be like. If your organization is mature and if it's got a lot of data maturity and stuff, then you might be able to use Gen AI and AI capabilities to, get to the last mile of it. But if you need a lot of foundations to be built, then as we've heard so far, it's important to break the data silos, bring the data together. And unless and until you have that data brought together in the journey, your outcome is going to be not very good as well. So it's important to have that strong data foundation and then build on top of that. And after that, you can keep on adding any tools you want.
Thank you